Get it started. What is up, everybody? It is Deuce back at it again with another episode, quite possibly the season finale of Deuces Wild. Today, here with wide receivers coach, also defensive back coach sometimes, of the New Berlin Waverly Franklin Pretzel football team, Coach Tino Vasquez. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine myself. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to do a little back and forth interview today, something a little different. Usually I do the interview and still get an interview, but I'm going to get interviewed today. So pretty excited about that, little change of pace. But say we just get started right on our way. Let's just get right into the questions unless you got any other comments.
No, I think that's good.
All right, so first question for you, Coach Tino. I bet you've gotten asked this so many times before in your life, but why do you coach?
Multiple reasons. One, I love the sport of football. I love the sport of football. And coaching allows me to still be hands-on with the sport. I enjoy teaching people about the sport. And now, as I've been coaching for quite some time now, I enjoy mentoring some of the younger coaches. You know, it's a great sport, and it just lets me be involved with it.
Good answer. Great answer. Another this question about coaching. What is one lesson, or if you have multiple lessons that coaching has taught you over the years?
The coaching has taught me, well, never judge a player by somebody else's opinion.
Yeah.
So many times, you know, if it's at the younger level, you know, dad will come in and say, hey, my kid doesn't know how to whatever, but he could probably do this. And then you're thinking, okay, well, he can't do that, so you focus on this. Well, you need to be more open-minded because maybe he can. Don't allow others to influence your opinion on your players. And actually, I do have one more. Never, for coach, again, this is for coaches because I learned this coaching as well. Never forget that sometimes, many times, there are players that need football more than football needs players. Mm-hmm. You need to realize, you know what, somebody might not ever see the field or start, but being a part of that team really changed their high school career.
I've definitely seen that firsthand with some teammates I had over the years, not only in football, many other sports, but I do agree with you. I think that some kids, football really helps them out. They just being on a team is really good for them.
I got a question for you.
All right.
I got a few questions, but
oh boy,
I'm going to start with this one. I showed up at the school today and I was talking with the ladies in the front office, and I started by saying, you know, I was here for Deuce. They have no clue who Deuce is.
Yeah.
Even though I know the answer, why don't you explain a little bit about Deuce?
Okay, well, Deuce is the nickname that Coach Tino gave me as a sophomore in high school. Freshman year, he had no clue who I was. He just knew that I was the freshman quarterback. The kid, a grade above me, Joey Meisman, great kid. He was starter sophomore through senior year of high school. And after my freshman year, I was promoted to the backup role as a sophomore. And Coach, he's never been good with names, I don't think. So he always gives us nicknames to help us remember our names, trigger his memory. And the one he gave me was Deuce.
Well, it started with, because I always called Joey quarterback.
He did.
I did work on learning my receiver names.
You
I
did.
just called Joey
was quarterback. That was his nickname.
Pierce, I called him running
back.
Pierce
was running back.
And you were quarterback number 2, which got shortened down
to Deuce because I was the backup, the second quarterback. And I remember a funny story just kind of off of this. It was, we were in a football camp in Rock Island up north when I first got the nickname. And I was kind of flabbergasted by it. I was like, cool nickname, I finally have one. And then I thought, the first thought that went in my head, what if I ever become the starting quarterback? Does that make me ace? Like, what does that turn me into? And he said, we'll think about it, and never got changed. I've always been Deuce. But.
Well, I did talk to you about it a little bit after that, because that topic came up, and I did enjoy going to that camp. It was nice.
It was a nice camp.
And I said, well, what if you ever become the starter? Do you want me, should we look at something else? And I said, but Deuce could, be Deuce's Wild, Deuce this. And you said you were comfortable with Deuce. So
Yeah.
So now it's just Deuce's Wild.
Just kind of stuck. Deuce's Wild.
Not backup. Just
Yeah.
Deuce's Wild.
Aces Wild would sound weird anyways. Deuce's Wild has a good ring to it.
So my next question for you. See, that wasn't even on my list.
Oh boy.
When was the first time you played full contact football?
Full contact football. First time I played was in 6th grade, but 5th grade year, I begged and pleaded my parents to let me play, and I've talked to them about it many times before. And the sign-up sheet came. They had flyers for playing football. Some of my buddies were playing. I was like, hey, I want to play. This is cool. So I go home to them. Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. Can I play football? They weren't really fond of the idea. So they were like, oh, we'll think about it, and hoping that I'd forget it. And my 5th grade mind forgot. Totally flew away in a week. But 6th grade rolled around. Same thing happened. And I came to them and I told them I want to play football. All my friends were playing it. And they're like, all right, that's one thing I do really love about my parents. They've always been supportive of me in every decision I've ever made. They've guided me in the direction that they thought was the best, but they always said it's your final decision. And they were a little hesitant at first, but they eventually let me play football. And I know they've said that it gives them anxiety sometimes when I'm running out there on the field, because they know a lot of guys are coming for my head, but I do think they are grateful that they had a kid play football, but I'd have to ask him on that. But yes, 6th grade, first time I ever played full contact football. I had played flag football in the past, I think 3rd grade, 4th grade maybe, but 6th grade was the first time I ever played full contact.
So when and why did you become a quarterback?
So 6th grade year, and oddly enough, I'm 6 foot tall, maybe 5'11". I don't know. It fluctuates, I feel like.
Depends on if you have your cleats
on, helmet on, size of my hair, But 6th grade year, I was actually one of the, if not the tallest kid playing football. So I was actually put at like a tight end wide receiver role because of my pure size. And then same thing about for 7th grade. People were gaining on me by the time 7th grade rolled around, but I was definitely one of the taller ones, still played wide receiver. And then 8th grade year rolled around, and we were just looking for a quarterback. And I said I thought I could throw. We had some other kids say, oh, I think I can throw. I don't even exactly remember what it came down to, what happened, but I eventually got the job 8th grade year to be a quarterback, first year ever playing it. Always been a wide receiver. And then freshman year, I played quarterback as well for our fresh off team and our JV team. I quarterbacked them. And then sophomore and junior year, kind of took a little hiatus and was what some people might call a Swiss Army knife. I took reps at receiver, sometimes reps at quarterback, but not really. It was mainly receiver, played safety, corner, sometimes even running back. You even put me in at fullback a few plays I remember. Still don't know why you did that, but that's kind of my journey of positions.
I just figured you wanted to work through all 11 positions, so I was just trying to help you out.
Well, I mean, the only 2 positions I never took a varsity snap at were offensive line and defensive line. And no matter how much I pleaded my case to Coach Rubel this year, he would not let me play offensive line for a play. And no matter how hard I pleaded my case to Coach Luttrell or Coach Huffy, on defense, they'd never put me on the defensive line for a safety blitz, but I'd consider myself a defensive end.
Just so you know, I told Coach Luttrell and Huffy that we need a safety blitz. They don't listen, but
whatever.
What are we going to do? Okay, go ahead, shoot.
All right, so next question I have for you. What is the most frustrating thing about coaching, and also what's the most rewarding thing about coaching?
I can do that in reverse order because it's really easy to say what's the most rewarding, and that is the relationships. The relationships you build with coaches, with players. I mean, I'm still in contact from players that... my first IHSA job was at the Illinois School for the Deaf, back in a long time ago, but I'm still in contact with those kids. I've watched them get married, have kids, and then all the way through. I stay in touch with a lot of my players, and the relationships are priceless, absolutely priceless. I look forward to doing things like this. Oh, the most frustrating thing.
I feel like this one would have been a little more difficult when I was writing them out, but
Yeah, I'm gonna break it down in two parts. As far as what was been the most frustrating thing for me was when I was coaching at the school for the deaf, because they hired me and I did not know any sign language. They're like, just learn as you go along, which I did, but the most frustrating part was being on the sideline, yelling at them, and they couldn't hear me. You couldn't change a play, you couldn't, I mean, we'd had end games and I'd had no voice left, and people would joke with me and say, aren't they deaf? Why is your voice hurting? So that was probably the most frustrating there. Overall, probably the most frustrating, either trying to convince a kid he's not as good as he thinks he is and he needs to work harder, or to tell the kid he's better than he thinks he is and he needs to work harder. So I think it's a twofold question. Luckily, I don't see the first one very much. I saw it when I coached some basketball. Everybody thought they were Michael Jordan or LeBron James, so I don't see it as much in football. But coaching a kid that grew up in the younger grades, the biggest, the strongest, the fastest, and then transitioning to high school thinking they don't have to work on it, is frustrating. But equally as frustrating is the kids that come in and say, well, I can't. Yeah, you can. I looked at, I won't say last names, but I'll say Willie. And he was 4 foot nothing, weighed 100 nothing his freshman year. And I told him his freshman year, you will be playing by your senior year on the varsity team. Don't let anybody tell you different. And guess what? He started this year.
Yeah.
Both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
And he worked his butt off for it. So
He did work tirelessly in the off season. I'd say probably the kid that worked the hardest in the off season. Next question for you would be, do you like being a head coach or an assistant coach more? Obviously they have their pros and cons, I would imagine, but what one have you found to grow and love more, and why?
I don't have a preference.
You don't have a preference?
I don't, and here's why. Because I've been fortunate enough, I've been all over the coaching spectrum. Excuse me. So, going in reverse, everybody's like, oh, well, I want to be the head coach. That's up at the top. What I like about not being a head coach is I don't have to do all the things that people don't see a head coach do. I don't have to get all the helmets, refurbished, and order all the uniforms and talk to the parents and the principal and all that. I enjoyed it when I did have to do it. I did it some, at ISD and whatnot, helping out there. And we just talked about this because we used to also have to exchange game film. You have Huddle now.
Yeah.
You only know Huddle. We used to record games on a VHS tape, and then after Friday night, you call the coach you're playing and say, where do you want to meet Saturday morning so we can trade tapes?
Yep.
So, that was horrible. But it was also fun because you got to build relationships with other coaches. Yep. So I enjoyed being a head coach in that aspect, but I also enjoy being a position coach because I don't have to worry about all that. I've done most of my years as an offensive coordinator. Love it. I love the strategy part of it. And that's where, you get to, I don't know, it makes it like I'm in the game more. Because as much as I can teach a player what to do, I can't control what you're going to do, but I feel like I have a little more control when I'm saying, kind of directing the pieces. So I enjoyed that. So I like the OC, I like the top position, and I like the lower position. What I like now is I like helping some of the younger coaches. That's one good thing about coaching here at New Berlin is we got a really good coaching staff. There's really not any egos, and Wellman, his first year last year, we were talking about some coaching aspect, and he kind of looked at me like, well, okay, but that works for you. And my comment was, well, who am I? I'm an assistant coach just like you. And you can just kind of see, yeah, nobody's better than the other here. Yep. I have all these years of experience, but I have all these years of making a lot of mistakes to get me where I'm at. So I'm just trying to help them not make the same mistakes I did.
Yeah, totally. I think we have a very unique coaching staff in the various ages that we have. Like the oldest coach that we have, won't say any names, is
not me.
Like the oldest coach that we have isn't our head coach, and the youngest coach that we have isn't at the lowest position. They're all the assistant coaches. They're all treated the same. They're all looked at the same. Yeah, you might have more experience than, let's say, Coach Wellman or Coach Cam, but you guys all play such an important role in our scheming and just everything we do as a program, and it's so interesting to see you guys bounce ideas off of each other. Just from the differences at which you play, the game has changed so much from when Cam and Wellman played just a few years prior to some of the other coaches we have on staff. So I think it's really interesting to see ideas bounce off that way with our coaching staff. It's very, very interesting to see. One more question for you.
What is that? Hold on. Let me get some for you because I still have. I got a lot to check off.
All right.
Okay, you talked about when you first started. Tell me about the transition of going from 8th grade to high school. Because that's a big, a teenager that age, that's hard just going from 8th grade to high school. It's very intimidating.
Yeah.
And then you got football right in the middle because you started in the summer. Advantage, disadvantage. What was it like going from 8th grade into freshman year as far as football? How did football play a role in that?
It was definitely different how everything was ran. It's just a different league. It's a different sport. It's the same sport, but it's so different. And for the people out there that have played football, I feel like you'd understand this a lot more because just from a physical aspect, when you're in 8th grade, you're like at practice maybe with some 6th or 7th graders. And for them physically to a senior in high school physically is so different. It's so different. And especially in 8th grade and at the start of high school, you really start changing. I mean, you change all throughout middle school and high school, but a big change what I saw for me was 8th grade to sophomore year. That whole stretch, I grew maybe not taller, but I grew a lot thicker. Just mentally, I grew. And it's a tough transition. It's very intimidating. A lot of coaches say it, a lot of players say it, and I do think it's true that the hardest year for a football player might be their freshman year because it's tough to get through. I show a lot of respect to the freshmen now because I know what they went through. I know I've been in their shoes before, and I know how I was treated as a freshman, and I was treated fine as a freshman, but I wanted to give them the same treatment I got as a freshman. I didn't want them to feel intimidated because it could be really hard. I had my freshman year, we had some just big kids on the team, some linemen, some tight end types that were just big physical guys. And as a freshman, especially a quarterback, when you go in there for some drills, it can be intimidating when you can't see over the line. I mean, you tell me I still can't see over the line, but
that's true. And we have a small line.
Yeah.
Did it help socially transition from 8th grade into high school, having football starting before school started? Definitely. And that's the one thing I'd tell any young kids that are contemplating, even if you've never played football before in junior high, go out and do it in high school because you start in the summer right after your 8th grade year ends. And especially, I'm thankful I go to a small school, you kind of know everybody. But if you go to a bigger school, it could just be even slightly bigger in New Berlin. You might not know everybody. Well, when you were a co-op for football.
We're a co-op for football, that's true. You don't know a lot of the Waverly kids or the Franklin kids, and you see all those guys come over. You really get to know a lot of guys, and I've made great relationships with the guys on this team and this program from my freshman year to my senior year. Not even just kids in my grade, kids that are older than me, kids that are younger than me. I've had great relationships built with them. So any young kid that's thinking about playing football, contemplating it, all I'd say is try it out. If it's not for you, I understand. But one thing my parents always told me is if you start something, you're going to finish it. So as a freshman in high school, it was rough. And I'll even say I had some nights where I went home and I was thinking, man, it's a lot. I might not want to play football next year. It's just a lot on me. And I just kept getting told by the older guys, freshman year is really hard, man. You're going to grow so much more physically once you commit yourself to the weight room. Once you commit yourself to this program, you're going to grow so much that by the time your sophomore year comes, it's just going to come a lot easier to you. What would be your most memorable moment as a coach and as a player? If you want to answer player first or coach first, I don't really care. But what would be your most memorable moment? If you have multiple that are really close, you can say them. Preferably not 18,000.
Yeah, I know, that's a tough one. My most memorable moment. I'm going to go through the one for each school I was at.
Okay.
That'd probably be easy.
All right.
I'm going to go to school for the deaf. My most memorable moment was off the field. When I first started, there was an interpreter there, and he would kind of help. And I didn't understand how American Sign Language worked. It's not a sign for every word. It's not word for word. So I would talk, and he'd be done signing, and I'd be like, you need to keep signing. He's like, no, I already said it, and I didn't understand it. So I'm still learning. So I would yell at these kids. Not yell at them. You know what I want.
Yeah.
I was very demanding.
You coach them. When a coach says they yell at kids, they don't mean it in a bad way. They just mean it in a coaching way.
Right.
For the people that might not understand, especially in football, it's, like you said, a very demanding sport. And you try and get your point across sometimes by yelling, but also sometimes you're out on the field, you got to yell at the players to get something in. And we see that in practice sometimes. We do some like mock scrimmages, and coaches will lose their voices as much as players do with yelling. So
I don't yell much, but I was very demanding. Anyway, so I would say something to him, or even try to sign it to him. Well, after a while, because I learned the word again, because do it again, do it again, do it again. And eventually, they were signing back to me, and they were doing this. And I'm thinking, okay, every time I tell them to correct something, they do that. That means, okay, I understand. Cool. So I'm coaching for about another 2 weeks. Every now and then, they understand. So then the interpreter was only part-time. So he showed up once, and he's watching me correct them. And he's like, I can't believe you allow that. You of all people. I go, allow what? It's like that. Doesn't that mean they understand? He goes, no. That means hands off, don't talk to me. So, you can imagine how well that goes over with me.
Oh yeah.
So that was one of my favorite memories at ISD. I have a lot at ISD. I loved it there. I did coach at, I did JHS next, so I guess that's appropriate. My son was a senior the year I was coaching there, and it was just such an honor coaching him. I just remember the sad feeling we had walking off the field after the last game. We lost an extremely close game to SHG, who then went on to win the state championship. So I still think that could have been us, but just having the opportunity to be on the field with my son was just priceless. When I coached at Route Catholic High School, the most memorable thing was I enjoyed that I was able to go to Mass before a game. Just, that it was so included, and that is my church. I live in Jacksonville, so that was probably the most unique thing there. And I haven't talked about games yet so far.
Yeah.
Because like you said, keep it under 1,000. My most memorable thing here, hold the earth.
Oh boy.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh boy.
All right, now hold on. Now we're gonna hit you with some questions. This one is We can go quick on this one.
Okay.
It's not rapid fire, but we're going to go quick.
All right.
Plans after high school.
Plans after high school. I plan to attend a 4-year university to study broadcast journalism. I'd love to do just stuff like this. Maybe have my own podcast one day.
You can have me as a guest.
Maybe if I have a podcast.
Okay.
But maybe something like a podcast. I'd love to be a broadcaster for like NBC, or maybe just like a specific sports team. It's just been a dream job of mine since 5th grade. I love sports way too much to give it up after high school. So I thought...
I understand. That's also why I do all these videos and stuff. It's just nice to be a part of it.
And what better to be involved with sports than talk about it? That's what I think. So, like,
grass or turf?
Time. Oh, that's a tough one. I've grown up playing on grass my whole life.
What's it like playing on turf? How about
Turf is, it's oddly similar. You say, everybody always tells me, oh, you feel faster on turf. You just naturally feel faster. You feel like you can move more on turf. And I see that to an extent, but honestly, I don't really feel too much of a difference. The only reason, well, I know my mom would say that she likes me playing on turf more because it's a lot easier to get the stains out because there are not too many grass stains. It's usually just the rubber pellet stains. But with that, the tiny rubber pellets on turf get inside your cleats, and they get inside your socks, and they get inside absolutely everything you could imagine it could get inside a football player. I've got them in my mouth before, in my mouth guard. I've been picking them out of my helmet before, after games. They've stayed in my shoes for 2 to 3 weeks after games. So I feel like if I played on a turf field at home, I'd get used to it. And then playing on grass would be weird. But since I've grown up playing on grass my whole life, and then I go to the occasional turf field every so often, I'd have to say I like playing on grass more.
Okay.
Just feels more natural to me.
2 more questions.
All right.
Favorite away place to play football? And why?
That's a tough one. That's a really difficult question. That's tough.
I will tell you, I like almost all of them because I enjoy seeing, as much as our plan is to win, and we do many times, I enjoy seeing the school pride and the pride they take, because everybody's field is just a little bit different.
Yep.
How they paint their field,
That's
what kind of grass, whether
Yep.
it's... I enjoy seeing the pride that all the other schools have, and then of course it's always best to come home, but
Yeah.
that's what I like. Do I have one favorite? I don't, but I didn't know if you did.
I don't know if I could narrow it down. I mean, I've played on a few turf fields over the years, and you'd think turf's all the same, but it's really different for the amount of time that they've had the turf. Like Riverton this year, they just got their new turf put in.
And then Olympia.
And then that is way different than playing on a turf at, say, Maroa, that's had that for a few years. We went out and played at Olympia this year for the first time ever. And their grass, their football field's also their soccer field. So you can see kind of the differences in there. They have different lines painted. But also with that, their grass was cut really short. Where at some places, I remember, I think it was Porta my sophomore year. It's the last time we played there. Their grass was a little thicker, and just a little higher cut. And like you said, every field is just a little bit different. I don't know if I could narrow it down to one place that I like playing on. There are definitely some places that I like playing on more, but I don't know if I could narrow it down to even just 2 or 3. Maybe.
Okay.
It'd be a little difficult.
Last question.
All right.
Share a story, game day, inside the huddle. Whether it be funny, serious, memorable. Has there been anything in the huddle that nobody else knows about because somebody said or did something that was just memorable?
One from this year would be at Olympia. Just for the sole fact, at the start of the game, it was pouring down rain. Just buckets of rain pouring down on us. And I didn't play defense that game. So I'm standing on the sideline. I had my hands behind my back because the rain was coming in sideways, and I turned my body so it would hit the rain because the rain was coming down at an angle so my hands wouldn't get wet. And I finally tried into the game. We just got a fumble recovery. And I just remember it because it was so... I heard all the noises of the fans, but it seemed so quiet in the huddle. It seemed so soothing. I don't know if it was the rain, but the guys were jacked. I was pretty jacked. And I'm standing there giving the play, and I don't remember what play it was, but one of the first few plays, Trent Turley, our fullback for that game, broke off about a 30, 40-yard run. And the linemen were ecstatic after that. And everybody else was, for good reason. But I remember specifically that next huddle, everybody saying, man, Trent, good play. And it was an option play. I said, Ben, great give. And just standing in the huddle, it's pouring down rain. And there are 10 guys next to me I would consider my brothers out there, 10 of my brothers out there. And we were just laughing, having a great time out there, just saying, hey, let's just punch this one in. Why not? Let's get on the board early. Just make it 6-0 early. And I just remember that huddle because I don't know if it was because it was raining. I don't remember what it was, but it was just so soothing. And it's one thing that I'll remember for the rest of my life in football. And for those of you guys that don't know, I wish, and I've said it to so many people, I wish I could be mic'd up in the huddle so I could know some more of the things that go on. Because I forget over time some things that were said, some funny things that were just subtle. But
well, you just remember the most important. And that's what you probably will remember forever. And that is why I love the sport of football. You know, again, cliches are everywhere, and everybody talks about the brotherhood and this and that, but cold, pouring rain, didn't matter. I mean, that just, it all adds to it because you guys are all going through that together. Mm-hmm. And that's why I like coaching still. It's because I like hearing stories like that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely why I play the sport and other sports too, especially track, there's a team aspect to it, but you're more individualized. Mm-hmm. But definitely I've seen in football and basketball is one thing for me, I never had a brother growing up. I had an older sister and I have a twin sister. Never had a brother, never had an older brother to bug me, never had a younger brother that would bug me. So playing football and being in a team aspect like that, again, with your friends, but you really get to know them and you get to appreciate them and love them for what they do, especially for me as a quarterback. I couldn't go out there and I couldn't do what Kevin does at running back or make the catches that Flynn does or block like the linemen do. And especially this year, not just the senior class that I've been a part of, but the team as a whole, we really got to come together and appreciate the athletic and physical abilities that other people have that we don't. And I really think that adds to a brotherhood aspect that and I know it's been said all the time, and people say it all the time, and I bet a lot of you viewers out there have heard of that. One guy on the football field can't win you a game. It takes all 11. No matter if you have all-state quarterback or a quarterback can only throw the ball 10 yards. It really takes all 11 guys out on the field to do things and really work together as a unit, and that's why I love playing the sport of football.
Yeah, it's not an easy sport.
It is not an easy sport.
You got the contact, but you have 22 people on the field at one time, running around full speed. I mean, it's just like choreographed chaos.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
it's a very good way to put it.
So, I've enjoyed doing these with you. Maybe we'll sneak in another one or two. As I told you, coming here, love to have you come back next year. Maybe throw another episode of DEUCES Wild together. I'm still going to see you. I'll see you at basketball. I'll see you at graduation. But
Yeah.
it's been a pleasure coaching you. It really has.
Well, I really do appreciate that. It's been, you've taught me so many lessons that I never have. As many coaches has. I know a lot of you people have gone out there and played sports. You remember some of your coaches, some things that they've said to them, but man, just some of the things you've taught me over the years, whether it be how to be a leader, or even as simple as how to catch a football and how to run with it. It's just things that I will always remember. I won't forget. It's just, it's really interesting, and man, it's so hard to put into words, but you know a special coach when you have one, and I definitely think that you're one that's very memorable to me, not only in the aspect of coaching, or just in the aspect of life too. I think a coach, what makes a great coach, and things that I've seen with coaches that I've had over the years, is not just how they teach you to catch a football in your case, or how they teach you to shoot a basketball, or how they teach you to run a mile in track, or how they teach you to hit a baseball or hit a golf ball or anything like that. Is they teach you life lessons. And there are definitely things that can stick with you for your whole life. And you and many other coaches have, but you especially have taught me so many life lessons, so many lessons that, and even some good morals to live by that I try and live by every day. Just the great things that I've learned from you, and I can't thank you enough for it. It's been great learning from you, and I mean, obviously, other coaches too out there. So grateful for all my other coaches. Shout out to Coach Rubel for keeping me safe all season. I'm very appreciative of that. As to my parents, he's the offensive line coach, and he kept me very safe this year. But like I said earlier, you know, a special coach and a coach that knows what he's doing when he coaches you, and I definitely have to say that you're one of them. And I really do appreciate being a football player for you, and also doing these videos. I'm so appreciative to have the opportunity, especially this is something I want to do later in life, something that something that I've been inspired to be, and just I've wanted to do since 4th or 5th grade. And it's just been amazing to do these videos. And as for the guys that I've interviewed on the team the past 2 years, I can't think of enough. The coaches that I've interviewed the past few years, can't think of enough. And even the viewers, you guys, you really don't know how much you guys have meant to me. I mean, you watch YouTubers or something, and they say that about a huge audience that they have of millions upon millions of people that watch their videos, tune into their videos. But in this situation, you have such a small circle of people that watch these videos, and I truly appreciate the support from you guys over the past 2 years. It's been something like I've never had before. Like I said, I'm so thankful to have been able to do these videos. I'm so thankful that you edit these, and you like push me to do these videos sometimes. Like, you're like, hey, we should probably shoot another video. And not that I don't like doing these, but I forget about them sometimes. When you're an athlete, student athlete especially, you got to worry about doing your homework. You got to worry about, especially as a quarterback, you got to worry about running the offense. And through all that, I still have the opportunity to do this, and it is absolutely amazing. So thank you for that. Thank you for everybody that I've interviewed for being...
You average about 500 views every time I put one of these out.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, to all the 500 plus viewers, anybody who has ever watched these videos for me, even if it's only been one video, even if it's only this one, I really do appreciate all the
even with
support.
my editing, we're still probably going to be at about 45 minutes on this one.
Yeah.
So we'll see how much they like hearing from us.
Yeah, I don't know how much they really want to hear us talk for about 40 minutes, but
I've enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed it so much. And
that's all I care about.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the views and whatnot, I never see the views at all. I just know that some people watch them. Some people just came up to me like, hey, what's up, Deuce? Like, Some people don't even know my name. Some people just.
I did it for a long time.
Some people just know me by Deuce. They're like, hey, Deuce, great video the other day. I watched it, and even if I don't care if it was 20 or 2,000 people that watch. Like I've said, I can't say it enough times how I just love doing these videos, and I could care less about the views, but it's doing something I love and having the support from so many other people, and especially you for doing these videos, helping me edit them, and I just can't thank you guys enough for it.
All right. I appreciate everything, buddy.
Appreciate everything too. Thank you guys so much for the continuous support over the past 2 years. As I've said so many
Deuce
times
is
before,
wild.
Deuce
Let's
is
think about
wild, out in the wild now. Hopefully I'll be able to come back and do some more of these videos. Maybe not too many more, but a few more. But I definitely love doing these. Appreciate all the time I've had. Can't thank you guys enough for it. I guess for one final time, this is Deuce saying deuces.
I love it.
I love it too.